Okay.
I'm Jo Ann Rothschild. I'm a painter, and I've been asked to moderate this discussion between Paula Heisen and Sue Collier. I'm very glad that we're running these two shows together at the Painting Center. I've been a member of the Painting Center for many years, and now I'm on the board. I'd like to introduce each of them. Sue Collier, where do you paint?
Hi, thank you, Joanne. And I want to say that I'm thrilled to be showing with you, Paula. Honestly, during the warm months, I paint in Central Park or other parks in the neighborhood. I live here, and most of the year I'm painting in my studio on the Upper West Side where I live. And I'm also a member of the Painting Center, which is where I met Joanne originally. We briefly were members at the same time. I still am a member. And Paula is the guest artist at the Painting Center.
I'd like to introduce Paula Heisen. And where do you paint, Paula?
Hi, Joanne, and thanks for doing this interview. It's been so much fun to do this. I paint in the winter. I paint in my Long Island City studio. I paint still lifes there. Do setups that I try to make very dramatic to sort of echo the things that I love in the landscape. And then the spring and through the fall, I paint upstate in Lexington, New York, which is in the Catskills. I've had a house up there for about over 30, almost 35 years. So
Let's begin the discussion.
okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Jo Ann Rothschild, and I'm helping with the discussion between Sue Collier and Paula Heisen about their paintings. And I brought up these two because it seems to me that compositionally they're related a bit with the recession of the river and the recession of the path. And I just wanted to ask each of you to talk about how you begin. Paula, why don't you start?
Okay, well, usually the way I start is by walking out in the landscape and opening myself up to what's out there and letting an image just sort of slap me in the face with its presence. And I usually take a photograph of something that catches me like that. And then I'll think about it, and then I'll go back and do a drawing if you want to show the drawing. So the drawings, they're like 8 by 6 inches. They're small, done with graphic pens. So
Can I just ask you how long this takes to draw?
It can be anywhere from 2 to 4 hours. This one took about 2 hours. And sometimes I'll work on them a little bit afterwards. So after I do the drawing, and the next day, sun permitting, I'll come back and do a color study, which is oil on paper. And they're also about 8 by 6 inches. And then after I do this, I will mix the palette for the larger painting, which takes about a couple hours to do that. Sometimes I do it the day before I go out in the landscape. And I did that for this one because it was a morning painting. And then I will go out in the landscape and do the larger painting, which in this case is 14 by 18 inches. And usually takes anywhere from 2 to 5 days to do these paintings. And often I will work on them after I feel like I've gotten enough from the landscape, or sometimes the motif changes so much it doesn't make sense to be out there anymore. But as hard as it it is. I just love it so much, just being out there, just being overwhelmed by the presence of these trees, these shrubs, the sky, everything, the weather. It's an amazing experience.
Mm.
Wow. So it seems to me that there's playfulness also in some of the marks that.
Yeah, I take my cue from what I'm looking at. They do have personalities, you know, and especially when things are backlit, I just feel like trees are sometimes they're semaphores. They're just like they're saying things, you know, doing all kinds of crazy stuff, and you usually can see that when things are backlit a little bit better.
Yeah, can you talk about how you started this painting?
Well, I have to say, I can really relate to sitting in outdoor nature and just enjoying it. But so how I started this painting, I saw a flash of blue and started from there and just painted my way out.
So are you just walking along?
No, I have my grocery cart. I like to get into the park, and it takes 10 minutes. And then I just walk along and see if there's something that interests me. And then I just sit right there and set up and paint. And it's tricky in Central Park because, you draw a lot of attention at the same, so it's hard, but at the same time, I have to be in a safe location. So I can't
Yeah, and you're
paint somewhere where there's no people.
yeah.
So, every season it takes a little while to get adjusted to everyone around me. But so I have to think about that as I want a little spot to myself so the runners can get by and whatever. And then go back to what it is that I saw, that color, and just paint out, as I say.
So do you have a strategy for dealing with people who come up to you?
Yeah, now I just try as hard as I can to ignore them. It's tricky. It's, sometimes the interaction is so amazing. Like the last time I was out, and I really like the painting too. This grandmother had, 3 little girls with her. And then later the father came, and the girls were so beautifully dressed. They had the same fabric in every dress, and clearly it was all handmade. I felt like I was going back in time. And they just surrounded me and started asking me, who is that sitting on the bench? Who is that? It was just amazing, amazing. And I did stop and talk with the girls and the grandmother. And then the father is like, come along, girls, come along. It was funny. So I have those times, but then I have really crazy times.
Would you mind if I blew this up just so you could see it, and then I'll blow
Okay,
all
sure.
this up? Yeah. So you begin to see your hand in it too.
Yeah,
right, over there.
so beautiful.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so too.
So do you think of camouflage?
No. Trying to think. Who I look at the most is Van Gogh, honestly. I just,
Well, such a master mark maker as well.
Right.
he's just a master. It's amazing. But no, as I say, I don't know what to expect. Each time it's different. And I don't look at it literally. When I know that sounds odd. You know how you're taught to step back and
Yeah.
close and, take a break, whatever. I did all of that religiously. I don't know. I had a very academic training. And
You went to BU.
right. But yeah, I don't do any of that now.
Yeah, well, of course, that's in what you're doing because you were trained that way, and so you have that ability.
Yeah, a
And
lot of training. Yeah.
yeah, so the spontaneity, it's not coming out of nowhere. It's coming out of a deep understanding about painterly space, I would say.
Well, the curiosity is it just it never feels that way.
When you're
I
doing it.
Yeah, I feel so far away from what it is I'm trying to do. So
What do you mean you feel so far away?
it feels like I'm just getting at the surface of what I'm trying to do.
Huh.
And I can't really explain to you what I'm trying to do. It just feels frustrating as I'm painting. But, and
Yeah,
the,
I just wonder if that frustration is just an unavoidable part of the whole impossible thing that painting is.
task, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
Me too.
Yeah. Like trying to make something with your hands tied behind your back.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay, so we're masochists. All right.
Yeah,
There's some ideal that you have in your mind, and it's impossible to reach that ever.
ever. Yeah. It's so, I can walk home and be so upset. I didn't do this or I didn't do that. I don't know. And sometimes I'm really surprised. When I get home, I don't know, like for example, the composition, I'll be like, whoa, what was I? Was I leaning to the right or something? It looks so different from what I expected. But I don't know. I do sometimes add the figure when I go home.
Oh, you do, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Huh. Wow. Did that happen here?
Yes. Mhm.
The figure and the dog.
And the dog.
Should we look at Paula's?
Yeah. This is has such a distinctive atmosphere.
So this is called From the Bridge, and it is really from the bridge that's in my town where I have a summer house, Lexington, and New York. Um, and it's the first time I've done a painting from the bridge, and it's it was a little challenging. It was out in the elements and lots of cars going by, but I just love that our stream, which actually floods our house, and I'm actually cleaning up the flood that in my studio from last December. But anyway, this stream, I do love it.
Wow.
Wow.
And I was originally drawn to well, there are kind of 4 trees there in the back that are at the very end of the stream.
Hmm.
That was kind of what got me that that kind of atmospheric middle tone. Um, so, and then everything else fell into place around that.
You were talking about colors, about the greens you use a little bit. I wonder if you want to. I'm just sort of struck by this green suddenly, and these two greens together.
Yeah, that's the I'm really obsessed with atmospheric perspective, and that is and this painting has that as its one of its structuring ideas. So the it's kind of a more saturated green on the tree to the right, um, and then the greens kind of gray out the further you get away. Um, and then the warmest color is in the foreground on that thing. So the whole idea of this painting is recession, like you said, Jo Ann. It's all going back, and yet the shapes, I try to keep the shapes flat so that you're always brought back to the surface of the painting too. So there's always that tension between being able to go back and also just being able to feel it as a whole. When I first came to the East Coast, I went to Skowhegan, and could not paint that green. I'm from Southern California, and the greens there are really interesting and very different, and the atmosphere makes them look beautiful. And Skowhegan was just like
Heavy.
heavy. Yes, exactly. It was so heavy. And so I did all these night paintings. So it's taken me over 30 years to finally figure out green in the Northeast.
Hmm.
It's if I would have known it would have taken this long, I probably would have stayed in California and continued painting there.
Just this when we talked once in your studio, and I was thinking, what? You came from LA here? I thought, what are you doing here?
I
And
know.
when I read your little blurb on your website and, looking at your paintings, and you're talking about being in the middle of, what's it called? Shohari County, right? I've been there.
Harry, yeah, yeah.
Shohari, is that what it is?
Uh-huh.
It's, it's absolutely gorgeous. I just can't imagine spending more than a week in all that green and trees and hills and more green and more trees, and I just started thinking about how humid and heavy it must be. And then
What do you mean?
just the shrubbery, the landscape. It's everything there. And that's what you're painting, I think. It's like the trees have it's their world. I can't explain it. Let me think.
I do feel that way though. They are entities. I feel them as that. And
Yeah,
I respond to them as that.
you're coming into their world.
I am. I participate in their world, but they are definitely, they've got their own thing going.
Yeah, they're letting you in. That's the feeling. You feel so small there. And it's pretty ambitious what you're doing. And as I say, and you are bringing in some desert. Is that right?
Bring in what?
Experience? Some desert experience from California?
Well, I have done some paintings of the desert, but not that many.
Not that many.
Mm-mm.
But I just feel so different, so dramatically different from Southern California.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, it's interesting. I don't know why you brought up the desert, but I have to say that as a young kid, it's the first time I felt the landscape as a presence was when I visited some family friends in Palm Springs.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out and they had told me about snakes and I was very afraid of it. But I wanted to go out into the landscape and there were just, cactuses and it was sand and the whole Palm Desert thing.
Right.
And it was the first time I felt so struck by that feeling of landscape and wanting to be part of it. So it's interesting that you brought up desert.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's so, I don't know, it's two completely different worlds, but you're somehow crossing it, I feel. Pulling that into this humid, heavy, green, lush. Beautiful.
Yeah, I think California does creep into this. I mean, I can't get, of course I can't get rid of it. I spent, how many years looking at that light and living in it and
Yeah.
loving it. So it does come in. It does come in.
It's amazing.
You both deal with observation and with drama. And Sue, maybe we could start with you on this, because the paintings, it seems to me, actually there's drama in both of your work.
Yeah.
Even in the observation part of it. But but so you do something that is sometimes seems to me a little bit like a short story or a novel. And I'm just going to bring one of those up.
Okay.
Okay. It's a beautiful painting anyway. So
Oh, the big one.
the big one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, me too. This, it's so different when I work indoors. It's just so different. I get so frustrated because I don't know how to do it indoors.
Well, you obviously do it, but it's a different feeling. I mean, partly it's a different light. It's not
It's a different
daylight.
feeling.
It's also, it's a triptych.
Yeah.
How big is it? How big is it, Sue?
14 feet, I think. About 14 feet.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. And I very much, am interested in literature and always wished I could be a writer. Never could, I don't know, actualize, never thought that I was capable, to be honest. So I think I do tell a lot of stories in my paintings, indoors especially.
Yeah, I want you to tell me what's going on here.
Yeah, I bet you do. If I told you what was going on here, then, my family can't listen to the video. So that kind of makes it tricky.
Okay. All right. Okay.
But that's the house I grew up in. This is my neighbors across the way. I have a lot of stories from growing up. I'm the
Okay.
youngest of 9.
Oh, goodness.
A lot of wild living.
I'm just going to zoom in because I think you can't see all the people.
Oh, right. There are 3 here,
And then there's some others.
and there's 2 in the last panel.
Here.
And the last panel, it just, I don't know, it lost a lot. It was better when I did it once, and I could never get that back. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, that is we're always haunted by when things come together, but if they don't work, you have to sacrifice them.
You
But you're
do.
haunted,
Yes.
you're haunted by it.
Joanne and I have talked about this because I once watched Joanne started painting, and I was saying, oh God, it's so hard to start, isn't it? And for a demonstration, and Joanne said, well, actually the hardest part is to change it, to lose something that you like, and take a chance and let it go. And
Yeah.
it's very hard, and you do that over and over and over, right?
Right.
In one
Endless. Endless.
exactly.
Oh,
And that's what's going on here.
yeah.
And for this, you don't make a sketch first, or do you? For these?
No. No, I started the first panel, and I have the thing in my head for so many years, and thought, oh, I need more space. I put up another panel, and then I thought, well, I don't know what to do. I really need more space, and I'm so afraid it's not going to be interesting, but it needs the space between the figures, so I put a third panel up.
You mean you didn't plan it as a triptych?
No, it was just going to be
That's really ballsy.
Yes.
I don't know if it is. I think it's kind of dumb. I don't plan I've never planned like that. I just do it as I need it.
It feels so planned out, though, but it's really surprising to hear you say that.
I think the memories are so vivid. That's what I think it is. I was saying to Joanne that it's kind of like when we were talking about painting plein air, it just never feels like I'm getting where I want to be. And I have a list in my head of paintings that I need to get out of the way, off the list, and then I can start painting.
What do you mean by, what do you mean? You have to stop thinking about them, or paintings that you have to do before you can?
I
paint?
have to do them because they're memories that I can't get rid of, that I
Oh,
need to somehow make a piece of work and move on. And the only one that I can think of concretely, as I mentioned to you, Joanne, is the drawing I did of public restrooms. For years and years, having nightmares really about using restrooms. And I said, this is, I have to do a piece of work about it. And I did, and it did help.
Okay. Do you want me to bring that up?
Sure.
that is a nightmare.
Yeah.
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 Whoa.
Kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah.
It worked though.
So you don't think about it anymore.
Hardly ever dream about it anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean you used to dream about it?
Dream about, yeah, the need to use a public restroom or whatever.
And how much you didn't want to.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If that's how I imagine public restrooms, I would never go in them either.
There you go. So the triptych, similar kind of thing, gotta get it out of my head. But who knows? Who knows if there's another way I'm supposed to paint? I don't know. Only time will tell.
Well, I don't know what that means, actually.
Um,
I mean, what?
If I
I
get
mean-
through my list, right? If I get rid of these things that I have to do, then I can clear the way and just paint. And that's what I'm kind of like, that's my goal. That'll be fun. That'll be interesting. But I have to do it
But you
first.
are just painting. You are painting. You are doing it.
But my list is dictating it. And that's what I'd like to get rid of. I'd like to get beyond that and see what happens.
Wow. That's just such an interesting concept. I have a hard time understanding it, really, because it's your engine,
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, I think one of the things that just fascinates me is the figures in the landscape.
Mhm.
How they sort of disappear into it.
Yeah, I love that. It's very well. You say Van Gogh, but also I see Vuillard, his early work in
Oh,
the
sure.
1890s. That work where they're really highly abstracted, and he also did so many rooms like with patterns like this where people disappear into it.
Oh, yeah.
But this is sort of even more extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, I mentioned camouflage before, but I really think about that in my own still lifes actually more than in the landscapes. But
Oh,
but
I like to see those.
well, I have flowers on flowers, a flower
Yeah.
right behind flowers, and so that they kind of play off of each other.
That is
But
so
you-
interesting.
I'll bring those up.
Yeah, because you know what? That's another area where we cross.
Yeah, I mean, except for I just think yours are sort of more abstracted than mine.
Well, I used to deal with a lot of patterns, pattern over pattern, very interested in Vuillard. And the only way I could get rid of it, it was because, again, in their memories, was to get outdoors. And that's why I've been painting outdoors. Look at that. That's beautiful.
I'm gonna bring up two of them.
Oh. Hmm.
So the one on the left is called Gash of Light, and I think
That's
I mean,
amazing.
that's pretty dramatic. And it came from the first year of the Trump administration and how upset I was.
Mhm.
Um, and then this other one on the right is one I just painted a couple weeks ago. Actually, last week I finished it. So, and I do the same thing with my still lifes. I do preparatory sketches, only the sketches are full size. So this painting is 16 by 20.
Well,
But anyway, that it's the drama there, the drama's there in that one on the left. It's probably just a little too dramatic, but
Oh, I love it.
it was really what I felt like. And it also does have that whole camouflage thing with the flowers in the back,
Yes.
that um, that background, which was the hardest part of that to paint. I painted over that so many times.
The background.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. So I kept simplifying it. I changed the shape of the shadows.
Beautiful.
And the one on the right, which makes me so happy to look at. Really, I'm so happy that that guy is out of the White House, and I think this painting is just full of that.
Yeah, gorgeous.
So, yeah,
Look at the two of them together. I mean,
it's interesting.
yeah.
But it's also, in this one, the camouflage isn't, it's not so much camouflage, but it's more an extension of the flowers in the big red.
Yeah, exactly. They never merge.
Yeah, yeah.
It's interesting. But and
So
then that little character down the bottom left.
yeah, the dinosaur. The dinos have been, I've used them over many years, and they always, they mean a couple of different things, usually not so many good things. Sometimes they are happy dinosaurs, but usually it's, they represent a bad influence
Oh,
or
yeah.
bad energy, and that it's the T-Rex. So, and I love painting them. I just love it. I love painting them.
Well, I think this painting is courageous, frankly, because it's so easily to just say, oh, it's so dramatic. But it's so brave. You're using this incredible warm red and this cool sort of violet red. I don't know, they're beautiful together.
Mm. Yeah,
And
that was part of the idea, was those two reds against each other. Yeah.
gorgeous.
Mm.
And it's a classic, the diagonal, everything.
Yeah, I know.
And it works. It's great.
so were you thinking about Trump when you were painting it?
Oh yeah. Oh,
Absolutely.
that's Trump on the lower left. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No, that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I did think of Trump, and I don't have the image here, but there's another one I did called Diplodocus with a burden of orchids, and it's a dinosaur with a very dark background with orchids, and with the same kind of streaming light. So those two paintings were really all about that. But as I think, as I told you, Jo Ann, I usually don't think about narrative so much. It's there in the still lifes more than the landscapes, but the narratives, they're lurking in the landscapes, because the trees are like characters to me. So I think that
Yeah.
they do, that one painting, The Distant Green, that I really feel like those trees were just performing for me.
Monsters. Yeah.
They are, but they're not bad monsters. They're good.
No.
So that one, yeah, definitely. The drama came afterwards. I just, I wasn't thinking about that, but it just emerged. And that often is the case, too, with my landscapes.
You want to talk a little bit more about the greens in this one?
So I think what got my attention is that distant green field when I went past this motif, and it was just like a jewel nesting in the distance. And then the green in the foreground was slightly more subdued, less saturated. And of course, I really exaggerate the differences in the greens. That's how I've made peace with the Northeast, is that if I see something that turns slightly yellow, I'll really exaggerate that. So, you know, when I take photographs of the motif, and I sometimes I refer back to them if I want an idea for a branch or something, or you know, whatever. I'll look at the photo, and it's like the green is all the same, and all of this is in my imagination.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I'm really exaggerating things here, but if you see the actual thing, you'd go, where did she get that from?
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So you're so sensitive.
I need it. I need there to be those differences. Otherwise I would, you know, go crazy.
That is fascinating.
So Sue, I'm gonna veer back to you and to your drawing,
Okay.
because we were talking about politics.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about this?
Sure. So, you know, like all of us, right? We think how we can't escape the news. We can't escape the problems. And this is basically talking about migration and how no country is accepting them. Nobody wants them. They can't stay home or they'll be tormented. I don't know. It's overwhelming to me. So I have to, like the bathrooms, I have to do something about it. And it seemed like daily news. We got hundreds of people kept drowning and drowning. And so that's why I did the boat and just drew the feeling of just being so overwhelmed and helpless. And all you have are the people that you're with.
How do you start these paintings or
They're-
drawings?
They're drawing. Just very quickly, again, barely, not even sketching. I literally start with the figures, each one. I used to do a thorough gesture and then do the line drawing, but I'm getting quicker at it. I don't know. I should by this time. But so I just start in a very soft orange that I can erase.
Mm,
I have to be able to erase all the time. It's just like painting,
mhm.
because sometimes it just doesn't feel right. And I draw each figure all the way through with this orange, and I keep doing it. So there's like, you know, easily 8 contour lines for each figure.
Oh, wow. These must take forever.
They take a long time. They
Mm.
do. Yeah.
How big is this one?
This one's, I think it's 12 feet.
And what are you using to draw with?
No, it's just colored pencil. You know, I have an electric sharpener,
Oh,
and
thank God.
that's the other obsession. It's like I'm in that sharpener every 20 seconds.
Right.
I don't have that perfect tip. It's kind of wild.
Right.
And I did draw over the, you know, I start with a light orange, and then I go just a few degrees more, a deeper orange and deeper, and then I get to blue.
Ah,
That's what I did here.
Wow.
okay. That's really interesting. So you go over each figure about 8 times, or you go over the image 8 times as you're working it out.
Easily, yeah.
Wow.
And I don't know, I just stopped at this level, which I was going to keep going like the other drawing. But I wanted to get the drawings in for, you know, a deadline. But I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad I left it at this stage. I don't know. It just, not because I think it's resolved, but it kind of shows me, oh, this is what I was doing. You know, it's the same kind of feeling, just doing and not looking.
Mhm.
Mm,
So it kind of it shows me myself, my process.
uh-huh.
Whereas the first drawing, you know, I got it to this level, and then I wanted to convey how frightening it must be at night. And I couldn't figure out how to do that. And I started kind of going wild, just, you know, just dark lines just to kind of cover up everybody, which I thought was very courageous since I spent months drawing these figures. But now I want to do more of that, just to convey further emphasize the chaos. Yeah, see, I just started,
This is the boat you're talking about.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Both of them have a boat, yeah.
Well, do you feel doing these resolve some of the tension you have about,
Oh, yes.
you do?
Yeah, do you feel that with the paintings?
Um,
Like that left
well,
painting?
no, that painting did not help me with 4 years of Trump.
How about a week?
Well, while I was painting it, I was enjoying it, but you know, then I had to go back home and you know, deal with the latest ridiculousness of it.
Yeah,
it
yeah. But the painting to the right of it, it is like a relief. It's so open and fresh and
Yeah, because
spacious
it's a reflection of how I feel. Yeah,
right.
but I don't think I would have seen that image then, or I wasn't looking for that type of image then. It was
Well,
darkness, really darkness. So
so it is kind of it does kind of resolve things in a way, no?
I don't, not the way it seems to for you.
Yeah, no, not for me. I agree. It's a direct expression
Yeah.
of your feelings. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, you know, it does relieve something, but I feel like there's a lot more to do. So I don't know. Maybe it generates too. I don't know. I don't know.
When
One
you
of
say, what do you mean?
Well, I want to draw about the camps, how these people live, sometimes for years. No
Mhm.
running water, nothing. I don't know. I feel like it needs, you know, it's kind of on that list again. That it needs to be said.
Mm.
I don't see that list going away ever,
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
really?
really.
That's not good news.
Well, like I said, I think it's your engine.
Yeah, you might be right.
I actually think it's quaint of you to think that you could ever escape it.
Hmm. It feels very genuine.
Yeah.
If I could only get past this.
Uh,
It's interesting because, you
it's
know,
like you get
there's like a ray of hope when I go paint plein air,
Mhm.
because there's no, I don't know, it's just more fun. It's free of politics, it's free of responsibility. It's fun. So
And
I
you,
imagine someday I'll get there. You know, it's like getting to heaven.
uh-huh.
Never mind that there's no heaven.
Well, you know, heaven is on earth. You know, we either make it or we, you know, don't. You know, getting past it, that whole idea, you know, it's like you want to get past life and
Oh, you think it might be something I'm telling myself?
mm,
Hmm. I see that. Hmm.
So one of the things that I think about, and you guys may not think about it at all, but particularly here, I think about how it's a group of people and how they're individuals in the same way that you know, for Paula, the trees
The trees, yeah.
are are specific, and yet there are lots of them.
it's an interesting observation. And it kind of, when I first read the question, I thought, well, I don't really think about that, you know, but then the way I think about it is that I think of of painting the image as a whole with interlocking parts, and everything has to be subservient to that whole. And so there's zones in my paintings where there's groups of trees. So if you want to bring up the mountain behind, it really shows that.
That what? That whole?
It shows like there's,
Ooh,
this was such a difficult one because there's
so
that
great.
mountain. I mean, that was, when I saw this, it was like the mountain behind, it was just like lurking there, and it's so strong, but I had to make it go back. And yet I had, and so all of those trees are in one zone, and then there's the mid area where all these different trees are doing their different things, but they all are kind of in one zone. And then there's the stream, which is in its own zone. So this was really a really tricky one, but that's the way I was thinking of it, as, you know, not individual things, but they're part of this whole of a mass that belongs in a certain part of the painting. So
Yeah, this is one that Paula by accident didn't send me, and I saw it on and really wanted it.
Oh.
So I
Oh,
better
great.
send it to me again. Yeah, I just think it's a beauty.
Oh, it is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it, you know, they don't feel like trees at all to me when I look at this painting. This whole middle group look like they're, you know, a barrier, protection against the,
yeah, they're performative.
yes.
Yeah. And, you know, but I'm thinking about getting the drawing and the light right too, while this other thing is happening. So I am very, I'm very excited that I'm starting to be able to do what I have been trying to do for so many years.
Yes.
Beginning to do it. I feel like I'm beginning to, that my personal language is coming together. That's
I
what,
agree.
yeah.
It's exactly what it feels like. It's like your personal vocabulary.
Yes, yeah, and it's, I can look back at paintings I was doing like 10 years ago, 11, 12, and I could see it emerging then.
Wow.
But it just, I think last summer, you know, I didn't have any graphic design work, and so I really had a lot of time, and I think I just was able to settle in and just get it, you know, viscerally get it. It's very exciting.
And have a breakthrough. Yeah. Wow. It is very exciting. I love this painting.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks.
It also feels like it's very conscious. And that's a great thing because you can keep doing it.
What do you mean by conscious?
I don't feel like mine are conscious at all. It's like I just do it. I'm thinking plein air again. And then it's a surprise, right? At the end. It would be great to not control it and not even predict it, I guess, but you know, develop that kind of vocabulary and say, oh, I'm going to use that here. And I don't know, just make some interesting marks that, I don't know, because that garish color again, all those greens.
So this is another that I think is just a beauty too. And
I agree.
Well, you know, here's what's funny. I have Alina helping me today from the painting center to paint put on the wires and things. And she said, oh, I posted a lot of your work on Artsy. I said, oh, let's look at them. And they have this painting without the figures because that's what I did. And I just put the figures in, a month or so ago.
Oh,
We have to change that. But let's look at these marks, Paula. Like, I wish I could get more control over what it is that I want. Like, it would be interesting.
you have, this has the exact right amount of control. I mean, that it's doing the marks are doing what they need to do in terms of this painting. This painting is setting out, it has its own structural idea, and everything is contributing to it. All the marks are contributing to it. And I feel very satisfied when I look at any part of it. And there's no surprises. I mean, that little violet on the lower right there, and then that kind of very pinky orange that's on the left. I mean, there's all these color notes that are very subtle, but are contributing to a really beautiful color harmony.
But the marks, you know what I mean? The
Marks are great.
shapes in the marks.
Wonderful.
Really?
Yeah. That's your handwriting. And
yeah, that's true. I mean, it doesn't feel arbitrary. And maybe that's what you're kind of worrying about, but
It's what I am worrying about, that
it does not feel arbitrary. It feels intentional. And something can be emotionally intentional, and you might not necessarily be conscious of it, and I think that's what you're saying, that how you paint, that you go, you do it, can't see it, but you're obviously, some part of your brain is making a lot of really good decisions, is what I would say.
Okay. I have to think about that. Interesting.
okay.
So this one didn't have figures in it?
No, it didn't. And the crazy thing is that I had it, for a couple of years just in the studio, not knowing what to do with it, because I don't paint abstractly. I didn't really understand it, and felt like I didn't get what it was that I was supposed to get, And then I thought, I'll just put a couple of figures in, because that's where I feel the most comfortable when I'm dealing with the figure. And I said, okay, maybe it's okay. I don't know.
I think it's so perfect, and I love the description of how you came to that, because I could see that painting would not be as interesting without those two people, for sure.
Well, you can look it up on Artsy.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's so funny.
I know. I mean, we didn't talk about that, Paula. The difference between putting the figure in and choosing not to, which I think is another similar but distinct character in both of our works. Because I feel like I look at your paintings, and the trees, especially those in that last painting, they feel, oh no, even in the earlier one, the kind of crazy Trump-like one, they feel like real characters. Yeah, I mean, they don't feel like trees.
I kind of, I see that your inclusion of the figure as being very generous, and I mean, there's something very open about letting people in, and I have done figure paintings. I'm not interested in it anymore, and it's too exhausting for me. And I really don't want any figures in my landscapes. It's like, but for me, the way I see it is that you say yes to people, and I say no. No, people, no, out of my vision. So
I get that.
yeah.
Actually, when I look at your landscapes, and of course, I try to imagine putting a figure in here and there, and it doesn't work. Because I just do that automatically.
Yeah.
With any piece. How about if I put him there or her there or whatever? But I never feel that need. So I don't know. I just feel like those trees are characters.
Yeah, they definitely are. Yeah, they are. I mean, I like I said, I don't consciously think of what they're saying to me, but you know, I'm responding to it,
Right. Right.
obviously. You know,
Yeah.
and actually, just her bringing up the mountain behind, I actually saw those trees in a way I haven't seen before. I mean, I
Oh,
just saw how crazy they are, actually. You know,
yeah.
because I am trying so hard to draw what I'm seeing. I am trying to get the space right. I mean, I really am.
As you're painting, you're trying to draw? Is
Oh
that
yeah. Oh yeah, it's all, I'm not making this stuff up. There's, you know, this overlapping space is what I'm looking at, and I'm trying to get those relationships right. But you know, it's just like with the color, I exaggerate the greens, you know, the way that the difference in the greens, but I exaggerate the shapes too.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, not consciously. I'm trying. You know, you have to believe that you're painting what you're seeing, or I have to believe that. That's part of what has been so difficult about developing my own language, is that I've had to be convinced in what I'm
Of
doing.
course.
You know,
Yes.
that takes a long time. As a,
Yeah. You've got to have the integrity, and it's there.
yeah. Hmm.
That's what makes it work. It's amazing.
Okay.
Talking about my work.
So actually, I'm going to bring up this one, The Boys and Me, because
Okay.
Paula wanted it. It's
Yeah,
one
I
of the
love
ones.
this painting.
Yeah.
You do?
Yeah, I love
And
this painting.
so this is, since obviously you can't observe yourself with your kids,
Right.
some part of this was done afterwards. Is that right?
Yeah, actually mostly right there.
Mostly right there.
Yeah. I just felt like I can do this. One of those days.
So you could get the kids in?
Yeah, I did it
You did
right
it.
there on the spot.
Wow. Wow. Were they that age at this point, or were they?
No, I just did this.
Oh, okay. So this is this year. All
Yeah,
right.
not this year, the year before, because I couldn't go out last year because of COVID.
Right.
But no, just from memory.
Wow. So Paula, what made you bring this one up?
Well, I think it just has all of those elements that I love about her work. There's the light, which hits you first, but then there's the mark making, and you know, it, to me, it looks very disciplined, and she's just she makes every mark count, and the way that the marks are painted are, each one is slightly different. They each have their own personality. It's very active. It's totally active. Everything is moving, and it has there's a, you're in the medium of the light and of, you know, the leaves, and everything feels like it's part of a continuous, you know, fluid almost. I mean, like I said this before, that there's something watery about your paintings, um, which I, you know, I feel like in Bonnard, I love that about his work, is that you feel like you're swimming through, you know, the different parts of the paintings, and this has that sense to me too. And then just the way that it's so, the way that you've embedded the figures into that landscape, they're kind of like a except for that orange shirt on the kid on the left, they're very desaturated colors. So you've embedded things, you know, them into, so they're part of it in a way, you know, in kind of camouflaged in there, but then there's parts that come out. I just think it's a brilliant painting.
Do you really? I'm shocked, to be honest.
I love the grays in here too.
Yeah.
I think such beautiful grays.
The
Yeah,
horizontals.
What?
The horizontals?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. I remember painting it. I remember being so frustrated because I couldn't get the real light that was coming through that green. And it was, I don't know. I just couldn't get it. I felt it
Yeah,
was,
I just wonder if that's just it. We'll just never get it.
yeah, I do see what you're saying. It's,
You know, it's just it's impossible.
yeah, exactly. I think you're right.
Well, that was one question I kind of liked that Jo Ann asked, is like, well, what didn't I ask? And my response was, why we are so crazy to do this,
Yeah.
to paint. I mean, it's, you know,
I don't know. It's just a drive. Is the only way I can explain it. It's not rational. That's
it
for
is
sure.
completely irrational, and yet satisfying. So I mean, I don't know.
Yes. It doesn't matter, right? I was saying to Joanne, it's so hard. You were saying, Joanne, that how hard it is to work while you're having a show or preparing for a show, whatever. But and yesterday I put 3 figures into my drawing, and it's there's hundreds of figures. It seems like not much of an accomplishment, but I felt so much better staying connected to my work. So it's something a little bit more than drive, right? No, it's a little bit more essential. It's it's clearly a need, but um
Well, it's an essential part of, if you're a painter, it's just an essential part of your whole being.
right.
There, it's like I can't really, I don't really feel the need to justify being a painter, because it just is something that I realized I wanted to be when I was in kindergarten.
Mm.
I mean, just this, oh, you can turn Play-Doh into snakes. That is fun. You know? So, so that,
Right.
and it's such an elemental part of my being.
Exactly.
I've just never
Well
questioned it,
said.
you know.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking that I adore my kids. Anyone who knows me knows I adore my kids. But after I had the twins, I had these reoccurring dreams that I was throwing my brushes and canvases and paints into a bonfire.
Wow,
It's so awful.
sounds terrible.
Mm.
That sounds like a good painting.
Yeah,
That would be, I mean, seriously, Sue.
yeah. No, oh, don't put it on my list, Paula.
Yes, it's on your list now. It's on your list now.
Okay,
I want to see it. I want to see that painting.
okay. You look for it. It's coming. Just speaking to how essential it is, even though it's an irrational, I guess, irrational occupation. I don't know. I think it's the arts that have helped us through the last 4 years. I mean, helped everyone in the last 4 years. It seems like artists have blossomed through this period of isolation. I certainly have done a lot of work.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Mm.
we have.
Do we get to see a farewell of Paula's?
Let's do a farewell policy. Yeah. I love this one.
Yeah, me too. That was one of the ones that just came together. I don't, it's like one of those you don't feel responsible for.
It's
And
beautiful.
I am very rarely love my own work, but I just love this painting.
It's beautiful, Paula.
It just does everything that I want it to do. I just wanted, the marks are interesting, and you can, it just, as I told Joanne, my whole idea about a painting is that it should be a perpetual motion mechanism. So once you get in it, you can't get out in a way. You just keep wanting to hang out with it and look at it, and you keep, your eye keeps moving and satisfied in different areas. So
Exactly.
it just has that for me.
It's Beautiful. I keep ending up back into that lake. It's so great. Those two little blues in the center.
Oh, yeah, but that's a house, not a lake.
That's a house?
Yeah, it's just a little sliver of a house. And they have cut the trees down and that motif is destroyed. Now it's so upsetting. Because
Oh, wow.
I painted it a couple times. But so anyway, that one's gone.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I can't imagine. Well, I guess I can. There's a lot to cut there, but this is beautiful.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Wow. I love those deep, deep reds or purples or whatever they are. Next to the yellow here, and then
Yeah, that was a color I found out at the very end. Yeah.
it's amazing. And when you say you found it at the very end, does that mean it wasn't on your palette?
Um, that was a move that I made. That green, that was more of just a green there, but that violet, of course, just pushes that yellow forward.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I needed that, so it just happened. So
Yeah, it's really beautiful painting.
and that tree on the right is struggling. You can kind of tell it's slowly dying. There's a lot of dead trees around in Lexington. Might be hard this summer. There might be a lot of them. Might have to put a dead tree in one of my paintings.
Wow. I look forward. But who does all the pruning? It's incredible landscape. It's so beautiful there. It's amazing. I remember, I don't know, we stopped at a little town. I felt like we were in Dodge City. And the food was spectacular.
Where in the Catskills?
It was in that county. What do you call it? Schoharie?
Schoharie County. Oh, okay. So I'm in Greene County here in Lexington. It is gorgeous over there. I'm in this beautiful valley.
Oh, wow.
It's an east-west valley.
Uh-huh.
So the sun, it's around all day pretty much. Unlike north-south valley where you will lose it in the morning and the afternoon.
So you get a lot of rain or no?
Oh yeah.
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 Wow.
So anyway, this was great.
It was great. Thank you, Jo Ann.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much for those great questions. I really loved thinking about them.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah.
I loved hearing us talk about the work, all of us. I wish, well,
Yeah, I know. It would have been great to have it in person.
yes, it would have been great. Great to see.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Jo Ann.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
I knew you'd be amazing.